So, big news on the AI front. On March 20, 2026, the US government dropped its brand new master plan for artificial intelligence. And listen, this is way more than just another boring policy document. You should think of it as a blueprint, one that's really set to reshape how government and private industry are going to build the future of AI together. All right, so let's get right into it. The big question on everyone's mind is, what's actually inside this thing? And maybe even more importantly, how is it going to change the game for businesses and the government? Let's break it all down. First up, let's talk about what this framework actually is. And right off the bat, I can tell you it's not just a list of polite suggestions. No, this is a full-on national blueprint. And it has a super clear mission. So what's the number one problem they're trying to solve here? Well, in a word, chaos. I mean, just imagine you're trying to launch a new AI product, right? But the privacy rules in California completely clash with the data security laws over in Texas. It would be an absolute nightmare. And that's exactly what the government is worried about. They see this potential fragmented patchwork of state rules as a huge roadblock to innovation and, honestly, a real threat to America's ability to compete globally. And trust me, they are not being subtle about this at all. There's a quote from the document that just lays it all out crystal clear. The goal is one single national standard, not, and I'm quoting here, 50 discordant ones. You gotta love that word discordant. It just perfectly paints this picture of the total regulatory mess they're desperately trying to avoid. Okay, so that naturally leads to the big so what question, right? If you're going to create one national standard, what happens to the power of individual states? Well, it all comes down to this really delicate balancing act. So how does this actually work? Well, think of it like this. The feds are grabbing the reins on the big picture stuff. We're talking core AI development, foreign policy implications, national security, all that high-level stuff. But, and this is key, the states get to keep a lot of their power, especially on things that affect people's daily lives. Stuff like consumer protection, zoning laws for things like data centers, and their own police powers to go after fraud. And right here, this is the crucial takeaway. Especially for any business out there that works with state governments. States still get to call the shots on how they buy and use AI. It's that simple. So if you want to sell your awesome new AI system to the state of Florida, guess what? You're playing by Florida's rules. This big national framework doesn't touch that. All right, so that's the states covered. But what if you're a company that wants to land a contract with the federal government? Well, this framework has a whole new set of rules for you too. So we already talked about how states keep their own procurement rights. The other two massive changes are all about the federal level. Basically, they're trying to make it way easier for the government to buy new tech. And they're also clearing up any confusion about who exactly is in charge of the rules. Look, anyone who's ever tried to get a federal contract knows it can be, well, let's just say it can be slow, painfully slow. This framework is like a giant flashing sign that the government wants to hit the fast-forward button. The whole point is to slash through that red tape and get cool, innovative AI tools into the hands of federal agencies way, way faster. But wait a minute, how are they going to regulate all this new tech? Well, this is where it gets really interesting. In a time when it feels like there's a new regulatory body for everything, the framework comes right out and says, nope, we are not creating a new, giant, all-powerful federal AI agency. So if there's no Department of AI, who's the referee on the field? The answer is what they're calling a decentralized approach. Instead of one big regulator, the oversight is going to be handled by the agencies that are already experts in their own areas. The thinking here is pretty smart, right? A one-size-fits-all rulebook for AI just doesn't make sense. I mean, the Department of Defense knows military AI inside and out, way better than some new agency ever could. Same goes for health and human services and medical AI. It's all about keeping the experts in charge. Okay, so we've talked about the new rules. But this framework also cracks open the door to some really exciting new opportunities for industry. I'm talking specifically about data access and totally new ways for companies and the government to work together. Let's be real, modern AI runs on data. And the US government, it's sitting on an absolute gold mine of it. So the plan to unlock all that value is actually pretty straightforward. Step 1, Congress ponies up the resources. Step 2, federal agencies take their massive data sets and get them AI ready. And step 3, industry gets access to all that amazing data to train the next generation of world-class AI models. It's a huge deal. And this new spirit of partnership, it's absolutely crucial in high-stakes areas like national security. We're moving way beyond a simple buyer-seller relationship here. The framework is pushing for a much, much deeper kind of collaboration, where government agencies and the top AI developers are literally working hand in hand from the ground up to build these cutting-edge systems. Now, for contractors, this has massive implications. What it means is that national security agencies are now being told they need to seriously level up their own tech know-how. They can't just buy a black box anymore. They need to be able to sit down and have deep, technical conversations with developers about how these incredibly complex AI models actually work, and then build plans together to manage any potential risks. So you might be asking why all of this, and why now? Well, when you zoom out, it all comes down to one thing, the big picture, and that is winning the global race for AI leadership. And you really can't get much clearer than that. A statement from the White House puts this whole strategy into the context of global competition. They said the goal is to, quote, ensure American AI dominance. I mean, wow, it doesn't get more direct than that. And that brings us full circle, right back to where we started. That fragmented patchwork of state laws, it's not just a headache or an inconvenience. From this perspective, it's seen as a direct threat to national competitiveness. So a unified national strategy isn't just a nice to have, it's seen as the absolute foundation for leading the world in AI. So there you have it. The US now officially has its AI playbook. It's a strategy that's all about balancing federal and state power, hitting the accelerator on innovation, and forging these really deep partnerships between government and industry. The plan is set, the strategy is clear, but the big question that's left hanging in the air is, will it be enough to lead the world?